Hello and welcome to Hixxy Studio. In this video I'm going to show you how to make this card. It's a craft card, white embossing, and really not a lot else to it. It's a really lovely, simple but effective card, and we're going to use this stamp set. This is the Daisy Bloom stamp set from Julie Hickey Designs. We're using the main image there, and then we're using these two little ones to create our background, and then wishing you the happiest birthday for our sentiment. So a lot of embossing on this one, and we're going to use I've got perfect medium, and I do apologize for the state of mine. It's a very old one. You can use any light coloured ink, because the white, I've got white opaque embossing powder that will sort of hide that. But something like perfect medium is clear, so you don't get any colour at all. But there are lots of these embossing type ink pads from various brands out on the market. So have a look at what you can find. So I'm just thinking what I need to do next. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do then is I'm going to stamp my Daisy Blooms, and I've already cut my piece of card to size. So, excuse me, rushing around. So I'm going to get my stamping platform out, and we're going to grab our stamp. We're going to put this on first, and I'm going to grab my stamp. Whoa! Might just send my stamp off into the stratosphere there. Okay. Right, so I have my stamp, and I want it sort of, I have to move my bits and pieces. Okay. Right, let's bring that down, and I'm going to turn it on its side because I find it easier when wrong way, this side, so that I've got more sort of to push down. Now, as I said, my perfect medium is very old, but you can probably hear. Basically, these embossing ink pads are literally just a sticky clear ink. Really, 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 really sticky. But mine's probably festered in a cupboard for, well, not festered, but I've had it a long time. So it's particularly sticky. So now the nice thing with working with it on craft card is that actually you will see it like a watermark. So even though this is transparent ink, it has no colour, because it's wet and sticky, you can still see whether we stamped it. Okay, I'm pretty much I'm just going to give that bit where the petals join a bit more of a push. There we go. So you can see where the ink has been, and I'm just going to put that in so that I don't get sticky ink everywhere all over my board. And then I am going to use my opaque bright white, this is Wow embossing powder. Now what I didn't do was to put my anti-static pad over, so we're just going to hope that we don't get, I obviously didn't have too many messy finger marks, because the thing with the bright white embossing powder, as opposed to a clear, it will show way more if you get it in the wrong place than a clear one will. So yeah, I probably should have put my embossing some anti-static pad over it first. So I'm going to get my heat tool. I'm just going to get it a little bit warm before I start heating, and then just to try and stop too much buckling, But what we will do once I've embossed this, we're going to paint it. I'll explain that in a moment, and then I'll stick it to the piece of card that it's going to be on, and we'll put it underneath my board. It should be warm enough to give it a little bit of a press, so you can see how bright white. And there are different kind of whites. I have another white embossing powder that is more cream. So make sure you kind of know what the effect your embossing powders are going to give you to make sure it's the right kind of one. So we just let that cool down while I bring this one back in and show you. Can you see that the leaves and the petals are sparkly? And all we're going to do, because I didn't want to use like a white paint, like a gesso or a white acrylic, I just wanted some sparkle. So what I've got here is Pixie Sparkle Highlights. There's no pigment in this. It is purely mica. And I'm going to put some in to one of my little things here. And I am going to get my little water spray. Probably not the best thing. Put my hand over it just because I don't want it spraying everywhere. And then I'm going to use a paintbrush. We'll go with this one. And we're going to mix. So what I've got here now is a mixture, very sparkly mixture of water and the Pixie Sparkle Highlights. And you can already see it's shimmering. It's shimmering away. Like so. And that's all I wanted. I didn't want a sort of an in-your-face colour that was going to detract from the beautiful white against the craft. Just gonna, any bits that emboss are just going to repel it, so there's no issue with going over it. And do keep mixing it, because the mica will in the palette, the mica will just drop to the bottom of the water, bit like when you have to shake your bottles when you've got sort of a mica-y or another pigment in your bottles, just to mix them up. So paint the leaves, and okay, and some of it has gone over the side. I am not worried about that. It just adds a little bit more sparkle to the project. Oh, my water's way over there. I'm just going to rinse my brush off. So I've got nice sparkly water. I am going to put that to the side to dry for a moment before, remember I said I'm going to put it onto, I've got Cintura Pearl that I'm going to stick that onto, and we'll put it underneath, but I just want to give that a little minute to dry and then explain what we're going to do next. So this is the piece that we're going to create our little pattern from. Now I'm going to, well, I know this is wet, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this on, and with my pencil, just put a little, oops, not on it, I've actually drawn on the top bit, which is not what I want. Just making some little like registration marks, if you like, just to show what's going to show. Because what you don't need to do, you don't need to create your stamp or stamp into all of that central part. It's not going to be seen, and it just wastes your ink and your embossing powder. So I'll grab a couple of things. Still waiting for that to dry. I might give that a bit of a heat blast in a moment once I've got everything else set up. So I've got my stamping mat, and I'm going to have my my inking mat as well on top of it, because I want to kind of stamp slightly off the side as well. I don't really want sticky ink on my stamping mat. So we are going to use those dinky winky stamps, and I kind of did it in stages. Oh, look at that. Look at that mess. That's off of a different stamp set. I'm going to just put that to one side, and I'm just going to, excuse me, just clean my little stamp block so I don't contaminate what we're doing with blue ink. Famous last word. Famous last words, I expect I will. I've probably got it all over my fingers now. Okay, so I'm using this little stamping block and I'm putting it sort of on the end. I am then, in fact, let's not start that first. Let's give this a bit of a heat blast so that I can put this underneath to flatten out a bit. So all I'm doing is just drying off the water, evaporating off the water, and just leaving that lovely shimmer from the Pixie Sparkle highlights that we mix into that water. A lot of it is dry. It's a couple of patches I've got a little bit of a puddle in. Okay, so that's looking lovely and sparkly. Right, let's get some glue on the back and glue it to our piece of cintura, and then we're going to pop it underneath my board. Not my board, my mat here, my cutting mat. As you can see, it's a little bit buckled. So I'm just going to line this up. And you can see it's not wanting to sit flat at the moment. So I'm going to get it, convince it does just for a second. And then we're going to just pop it under the edge of my mat. Right, so back to creating this. So I'm going to, I feel like I need to cover that mucky mess up. I'm just going to, it's so sticky. Put that in and I'm going to stamp. And just like before, I can see, because it kind of creates like a watermark where I am, and this is why I didn't want to do it straight onto my stamping mat, otherwise I would have ended up with, I want to don't want them all going the same way. Try and mix it up a little bit, what gets seen and what doesn't. Go off the paper, card, sorry, directions. Making sure this, because this is the bigger of the two, which is why I'm literally kind of doing the edges with this one. And I am at this point, I'm going to emboss these ones, because what I don't want to do is leave this ages and ages and the ink to completely dry off, because Kraft is quite an absorbent card, and I want to make sure that the ink is still quite damp. Ooh. Oh, knocked a bit off that bit there. No, I think. Okay, and I'm going to heat emboss that, and then we'll get the other stamp and put it in the pot rather than the lid would be a good idea. Let's give that a blast with the heat gun. So, and I've got this beautiful bright white. You can see I've got little stray bits of embossing powder, and I don't mind that, and I don't mind that double stamp there either, because this is the background. It's not doesn't need to be perfect unless that's what you're aiming for. I'm afraid I never aim for that, because Yeah, oh, I got a great big bit of white powder there, but that is inside my little registration mark, so shouldn't really show. But I do have another bit over there, which I am, oh, too late, it's embossed. No problemo. No problemo. Right, so we're going to swap this stamp for that little one that wasn't from another set, it was from this set. And I am just going to give it a little bit of a clean because I was doing something with blue ink with that, and like I said, I don't really want to contaminate it. So all I've done is I've just, because I know that was distressing, I've just literally sprayed it and rinsed it off. So I've now got this little dinky flower. Sometimes these small stamps in a set get overlooked because they're just so small. I'm like, what do I do with that? They are perfect. Oh, be careful, because that was wet. I'm now getting a bit of water here. You can see I've got the sticky stuff all over my inking mat, which is the point of me having put it there. Like I said, I didn't really want my my stamping, the stamping foam bit underneath. I didn't really want that to get the sticky ink on. Okay, I think I'm going to treat myself. My Easter present to myself, I think, is going to be a new perfect medium pad. So I'm pushing into it and it's just squishing everywhere. And even I know it shouldn't do that. But it works. So I can't complain, it's working. So I'm kind of filling in the gaps with this one all round. And I'm going to emboss this one. So I pour loads of this out, but actually end up putting most of it back in to the pot. So I don't think you'll kind of end up using loads and loads, because you don't. Put that to the side, and we're going to empty this back. Whoa! You don't waste it unless you pour it all over your stamping mat, which there's no point me trying to get that off because there's so much sticky ink on my inking pad, it would just stick to it. So that just needs a wipe later. So I'm just going to move that out of the way. And we're going to emboss this one. And like I say, I can see I've got little bits of embossing powder, not necessarily on the flowers, but I'm not going to worry too much. I did with the other one, and it doesn't really make a huge difference. So we go round, making these little flowers. I think we've got more. No, that one there. Okay, so that has now created what will look like a whole piece of patterned card, if you like, but actually all we've done is we've gone round the edge. So we're going to pull this out and just make sure that we've covered everything that we need, which looks like we have. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So we're going to assemble this. Then there's just one more thing actually before I assemble it. I've got a white gel pen, and I just felt it needed a little bit of framing. So all I did was I literally drew a couple of lines with my gel pen. They are not straight. I'm not aiming for them to be straight. They are just to give it a little bit of more of a frame to the image. So we will start to assemble our card. So more cincher pearl. Look. I'm pretty sure I made this a 5x7. Yes, it's a 5x7 card blank, which is, it's not necessarily one that card makers tend to use a lot, but it's one that if in sort of, manufactured cards is quite a common one. Okay, so let's stick that onto that piece, like so. And then I'm going to use some 3D glue gel with this one. See if we've got, and I know we haven't got enough, but let's see how far we get with what's in this syringe. Oh no, not enough, but that's okay. We've got another one. Another one ready and waiting. She says yes. Sometimes if they've been sat, they do log up a little. That goes on to our card like so. And then again. Oh. Oh. Sorry, that's me because I got myself distracted. I need to move this up a bit in order for me to be able to. Oh no, no I don't. I put it on the other side, didn't I? I was thinking that's going to cover up my lovely little corner, but it's not because I'm just trying to bend that up a little bit because I put the sentiment actually this end. Comme ça. I'm just going to wipe that up before I put my arm in it. Let's just straighten that out now because I've got a bit wobbly with all my panicking. And then I've got a few little flat back pearls that will go on onto my little corners that I drew with my white gel pen. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Clean that off before we put it on. Comme ça. And then we're just gonna put these on. Oh, actually, I just looked at the thing and realised I put one in the middle of each flower as well. So glue in there. So let's do those first so we don't forget. One in the middle of each flower. And then 1, 2, 3. And then I've got 3. 1, 2, 3. And there we have our craft and white. That's literally all it is, craft and white. I've still got a little bit of a buckle on my card here, but that's okay. Let that, if you can, let it sort of sit for quite a while to flatten, then you'll end up, because it's the same with this one. I just flattened it for quite a while before I stuck it on. So yeah, that's all you need to do. So there is our craft and white embossed card using this lovely set from Julie Hickey Designs, the Daisy Blooms stamp set. Thank you for joining me.